Hey guys, I figure I'd make a video because that would just be simpler to say everything I wanted to say. Be a lot more concise, like quicker for me than trying to type it all out. And I also, it would be a pain to try and send, to multiple people or to try and talk about it in a call, especially with the fact that right now it's 6:56 my time, which I think is like what 2 in the morning your time, roughly, something like that. Because I am 16 hours ahead of you, although technically that's counting it the long way. But that's aside from the point. So, getting to what I wanted to talk about here actually is a little bit of my experience in Korea the last few days. They've been pretty fun, actually. The first few days that I got here, roughly the first week, we were in exercises, so I had to sit in my hotel room while everybody else played war. They basically pretended they were war with China and Korea. So that was that. But once Friday rolled around, exercises were concluded and we were allowed to roam free. Didn't have any work that day, and I was allowed to go into Korea. I didn't get too many pictures and I didn't get a whole ton of video because I'm just not the type of person to take video regularly. Like, this is really weird for me right now. But I don't normally take videos or pictures of what I'm up to. I usually just kind of focus on enjoying it in the moment, kind of being with my friends. Although I did take one picture of some of the food we got at one point, and a picture of Korean, basically just a street corner from a high up vantage point. But Friday, let's see, what did I really go do Friday? I tried to go find my way to the ocean because the base is really close to the ocean, but there's not really a good walking path. And while I was walking around, I randomly happened to meet one of my coworkers, Morgan. He's a really chill dude. Me and him kind of are friends now. But on Monday, me and him, or not Monday, Friday, we were walking around trying to find, I was trying to find the ocean. I was just walking around. He comes out of the entry control point next to our work, and I happen to be standing out there. He comes over, he says hi to me. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I recognize you. You're one of the new guys." We start talking, hanging out. We go get some food together, and then we go catch, or was that Saturday? Because Sunday, I'm sorry, I can't remember. I get my days all sorts of mixed up. I remember we went and did something Friday. I think Friday was basically just walking around the base and getting a feel for what the base is and kind of how it's laid out. Because I remember me and Morgan definitely went and did something. Oh, yeah, that's right. We went back to his apartment, got some food to eat, and then we hung out and went to Taco Bell and got some food there. And then he called it a night. I called it a night. And then Saturday, I woke up. He woke up. He had some things he had to take care of in the morning. I went to the BX, got some food, and met with J9, one of our other coworkers. Couldn't convince him to come with us, and then we got in a taxi down to Gunsan, or well, up, because the base is technically Kunsan with Kun, but the city is Gun, kind of like guns, but it's pronounced Gunsan. It's Korean, different language, doesn't really match English very well, but to be expected. Um, we went into the city and we went to the Lotte Mall, Lotte, and then it's a mall, and it had 3 stories. So the bottom story is kind of mostly just clothing. The second story is kind of like athletics. So that's where you would buy, like, soccer balls, golf clubs. They had a really big golf shop in there. Baseball is really big in Korea. Koreans fucking love baseball. They have baseball diamonds all over the place, and there's lots of like baseball memorabilia on sale in the country. So they have that there. And then the third story is where you get a lot of kind of your food court, lots of food and good eating to be had up there. kind of explored around. We met with two of our other coworkers, Ryan, and I can't remember his wife's name. And then we also brought Helen Keller with us. That's not really his name, but that's just what we call him because his actual name is really weird and hard to pronounce. But we all go out, we go around the mall, and then we go to the Lotte market or store. I'm not exactly sure what the nomenclature there was for it, but it had the same first name of Lotte, and it was like a giant, basically Walmart. So the first floor is kind of like what you would expect with like aisles with like items on the shelves. You'd go in, you'd find whatever you want, seafood section and then a bakery, all that good stuff. The second floor had kind of more like outdoor items, bed, bath, had a Toys R Us in it, which was kind of crazy to see a Toys R Us in Korea, especially mentioning the fact that they don't even exist in the US anymore, it was pretty odd. It was really weird to see something in Korea that doesn't exist in the US anymore, despite the fact it was a staple of America for a long time. So that was kind of curious. And then the third floor was it had a food court, and then that was more of like specialty shopping. So, like, really refined suits, high end, like, women's dresses. Something to mention about the way they dress here is it's very uniform. They all dress very, very similar. They all kind of have like a coherent style that they address themselves to. In the US, if you took a group of random people, we'd all be wearing, different clothes. Some of us would have sweatshirts, some of us would be short sleeves, some would be in shorts, some would have like, long pants. Some people would be super bright and colorful, some people would be really monotone. In Korea, there's almost a color palette culturally that they all choose to use together. So it's lots of browns, whites, beige, gray, black. And that's mostly the color palette you see there. There isn't very many bright colors. There's not very many, what's the word? Variety, I guess. None of it's very exotic. That's what I would say. They don't dress exotically, kind of like we do. Like this bright red hoodie, I stood way out in walking around because no Korean person really dresses in a bright red hoodie, despite the fact it also has very obvious English writing on it, which, I mean, isn't that much of a giveaway because English is actually relatively common to see in Korea. It's not as rare as you would think it would be. Korean people, I don't know what it is. It's strange. Their buildings will have English writing on them, but it'd only be a phrase or two. They'll have shirts on sale with English writing on them, and then Korean also on them. They'll have shops where the sign, the like big overhead sign for it, is all in English with no Korean, but the actual menu items is all in Korean with no English. And it's very funny to see places that have, English names or use very English kind of writing in a lot of areas mixed in with these Korean places. Like there was, well, what was it? There was one store there. It was like ABC Mart, where the sign was in English and its advertisements on the outside were in English. But the items inside the store were all in Korean. Everything was Korean inside the store, which, you would think kind of in America, you don't really see Japanese writing or you don't see, Korean writing. You only see English. Maybe a touch of Spanish on, the menu is an alternate so that Spanish speakers who live there can read it. But you never see in America places where the sign is in Spanish unless it's like a Spanish restaurant. You don't really see it where they have just random bits of, other countries' languages. In Korean, English is very common to see, but it's almost as if it's sprinkled in the rest, almost as if it's a Where's Waldo to a degree. In some places, it's very obvious. It's very big, bold English text, and in other places, it's just a word or two under a sign. And it's a little strange to see that because English is not a language that they all particularly speak, and not all of them even speak it particularly well. I think I've only met maybe one or two Korean nationals so far who are fluent English speakers, but English is very prevalent in the country, and there's been a few times where I've met somebody and tried to talk to them, and they couldn't understand me because they don't speak English at all to any degree. They don't understand it. They have no clue what I'm saying. And something else to mention culturally about kind of the way they present themselves is Korean people, they build vertically much more than they do horizontally. So it's strange. It's almost as if the entire country's aspect ratio is out of whack. It's kind of like everything is taller than it is wide. It's as if you flipped every building on its side, it would be shorter. It would never get taller. None of their buildings are built to be width-wise longer than they are height-wise. And it's very strange to see because all of their buildings, are very tall to a degree. A single-story building in Korea is exceedingly rare. A single-story building here is, kind of a one-off thing. You don't really see it unless it's, some hut out in the countryside. But especially in the city of Gunsan, to see a single-story building is almost never going to happen. You would have to go to very certain places in order to find it. And there is a bit of an old town, and there's some areas you drive through that are, you can tell have been there a lot longer and were built there probably before, Western civilization really came along with all of its newfangled facets. But you can really tell when you're in Korea that there is a strong underlying Korean current culture. It's as if Korean culture that was there before wears Western culture as some sort of mask or dress or jacket. You can see very much of Western influence, and you can see a lot of what it's done for them. But it's not very hard to look and find that old Korean culture, that old Korean way of thinking. Like, something I noticed when I was at the mall is that they spoil their kids very handsomely. They do it with relative ease. Where in America, if we were to spoil our children like that, especially in public, it would be seen as very, very odd. It would be seen as excessive. To these people, it's normal. To them, that is the standard. I don't really know where it all comes from, or really the base underlying culture that they have, or really understand that, but it's very easy to see it. It's not a challenge to see this kind of old Korean culture that is living in a very new and modern age. What else is there I can say about Korea, particularly? It's a very nice place, I'll say that. The tap water tastes nice. The tap water does taste very good. It's a very new age country. It's a very smart country. What do I mean by that? Well, it has various, kind of smart systems, like camera systems that are set up to detect things. I remember when I was at the Lotte Mall, I tried to buy a pair of jeans. And the way it worked is you didn't scan it. It didn't have a QR code on it that you scanned and then paid for. You put the item into this little kind of bin thing next to the little payment stand, and it automatically detected the item that was in there. It already knew its price, the exact item, so there was really no fiddling on your part. You just put the item you wanted into this little bin, and it already knew it was in there. That's not, it's probably pretty easy to set something up like that, like maybe you have the little tag thing, have some sort of technology in it, or, you have very precise weights, something like that. But it's kind of odd because it's not a system I was aware of in America, and it's a system I've never seen before, and it was quite odd to see, and it was very perplexing. It was very kind of mystifying to see something like that. But it was also quite cool. It was very intelligent. Their country has a very well thought out design. Like the mall, something I should have explained earlier better than I did now that I think about it. But their mall has a very open design. There's no one single stall or store, because normally when we think of a mall in America, we think of little individual shops kind of built into their little own, like, sort of cube on the side, or kind of their own little store space, where it has, a walls, it has walls, a back wall, and then you have an open front that leads out to a main area of the mall. The Korean malls do it very differently, where it has a very, very big floor space, and then the vendors and merchants kind of just have like their own little areas, and the only thing that separates them is the walking paths that people use. So you'll very easily be walking through one shop and then kind of stumble into the other without realizing. It's very natural and fluid. So you'll have kind of a streetwear. I remember one had a big on the I think it was the second story had an area where there was a lot of very high-end clothing of like women's dresses, men's suits, and then it kind of led off into like golf wear, so a bit more of casual, still formal wear, and then it kind of built back into a more athletic wear of, kind of just more casual clothes until it eventually ended up in streetwear, and then it kind of did the same thing back into itself. And the whole time you're walking, you don't really realize that the clothing is changing. You don't think of it as you're in a different shop or a different store. It's just, it seems almost as if you've gotten to a new rack, and whatever is on that rack, you just go, oh, this is the, fancy section, little less fancy, not so fancy section. You don't think of it as walking into individual separate stores, even though you are. It's very nice and very fluid, although one thing I will say is it does make the place feel a lot more busy and a lot more kind of compact. The Lotte Mall, I would say, is definitely smaller than the Boise Town Square Mall. It is definitely smaller, and it definitely has less to sell. It's a busier place, so maybe that's why. But even in the less busy sections of it, it still felt incredibly cramped. Something I'll say about the Boise Mall is, sure, there's a lot more wasted space. Like, there's still tons of big open areas where nothing's on sale, but it allows you to kind of spread out, where in the Lotte Mall, it felt very, very crammed in, and there was a lot of times where you had to stand and stop to wait for people to pass through kind of a choke point, or if there was an area where there's people kind of like out in the middle of the one of those walking paths shopping, kind of, looking in the racks and whatnot, you would have to stop because there wasn't enough room to allow traffic through, effectively on both sides. So that was one thing I'll say. I do kind of like the open mall concept, and I do like it. And I thought it was very nice, and it did make the mall feel fluid, but it also makes it feel much, much smaller and much more compact. Now, to be fair, I'm used to the Boise Town Square Mall, which is considerably larger than the Lotte Mall. Maybe if you counted exact floor space, Lotte Mall and the Boise Town Square Mall aren't that far apart, but I would definitely say the Lotte Mall felt indescribably smaller than the Boise Town Square Mall. And something else that was kind of funny to see in this country is, amongst the verticality of it, is you would have stores on the bottom, and then you would have other shops on top of it that are completely separate, and to get to those, you would have to go into basically the stairwell and walk up to whatever shop you wanted. And we didn't particularly go in any of those, although it was strange to see these kind of shops advertising up top. And especially when in America, usually you'll have a storefront along the bottom, and then you'll have apartment complexes above it. So people just live above the store. And that's usually just kind of how we do it here. Or, well, not here, there. Here, they do it with shop, 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 shop. That's the whole building. And it's kind of odd. It's really odd. It's very densely packed. Something else I'll say about the way they have built their country is in America, you kind of almost have a mountain of you have small little buildings, small little building, small little building, and then you kind of get a little bigger. You might get a few 2 stories and 1 stories kind of mixed together, and then they all kind of get to 2 stories, and then you might get like something that's kind of big, 4 stories, and then you kind of keep going along, and it builds up. And then, you kind of get some medium-sized buildings, some slightly bigger buildings, and then, you get the really big ones, and, at that point, you're now in downtown with all the really, really big buildings, and then it kind of works its way back down of, it loses a few stories at a time, and the buildings get slightly, slightly smaller, until you're, slowly working your way down, and then you're, back to ground level. So if you look at if you were to kind of make an average chart of an American city, it would kind of do this, like a mountain. It would rise, hit a peak, and then fall back down. Korean cities are kind of like a cliff. You'll have flat rice paddies, maybe somebody's little farmhouse, or maybe one little kind of itty bitty shop, not very big. And then you'll hit this point where you have 17-story tall apartment complexes and 5-story tall, commercial buildings, and you'll have supermarkets that are 5 stories tall. You'll have, bakeries that are 3-story tall. You'll have big mega apartment complexes. You have police stations that are just absolutely ginormous. You'll go from flat nothing countryside to what feels like, the heart of the city, downtown, even though you've barely crossed city limits. The entire city feels as if you're in the middle of downtown. Their entire city is this super dense, super urban thing, and there's not really kind of an in-between. There is no suburb. There is no kind of middling area. For them, it is either high-rises or farmhouses. Take that as you will. I think it's very odd. I think it makes their cities feel very unnatural. It makes them seem very out of place. American cities kind of build into their place and fill, a large area, and they're much more width-wise. They're built with width in mind. They spread out, whereas Korean cities go vertically, even when they don't really need to. Their city has plenty of space to spread out. If it was built like an American city, it would fit quite comfortably in the area it has. Gunsan has lots of simply surrounding empty rice paddies, areas that could easily be developed. It has, a river flowing through it, and it doesn't even go all the way along to the coastline. It's a few miles away from the coast, about, 6 or 7. But that's what I mean that's strange. You'll have the coastline, empty rice paddies, and then the city a couple miles back. And it's strange. It makes it seem so unnatural. Normally in America, you'd expect, some little kind of houses and whatnot in between. Not in Korea. It's a rice paddy in a farmer's house. That is all that lies between the city and the coast. What else is there to be said about Korea? Not much immediately comes to my mind. The only thing I can say is, Mom, Dad, please send me some Redhead brand jeans, because jeans in this place are fucking expensive. These people are deprived of good jeans. The best pair of jeans I could get was like $60. That's terrible pricing for jeans. Now, I know some people would scoff at that and be like, oh, I pay $110 for my jeans. I remember paying a comfortable $30, $40 for a pair of Redhead brand jeans, which is definitely the best pair of jeans I ever owned, one of the nicest pair of jeans I've ever had in my life, and by far the only pair of brand of jeans I stand by. And they were cheaper than all the rest. And when I went jean shopping here, buy myself some new jeans because all I have is shorts. I was so upset. I was like, why are all of these so expensive? This country's meant to have cheap things. Everything in this country is meant to be cheap, cheap, cheap. You can buy really nice silverware. A set of silverware I bought that was really nice. I don't have any on hand with me right now, but it has like a nice white leather handle, and then it kind of has a big, large stainless steel, fork bit. And that's kind of the same thing, stainless steel knife with a white leather handle and then a spoon of the same build. And all of that together cost me maybe $1 and some odd cent. Yeah, I want to say something like that. Because each one was. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but again, it was very cheap to buy things here. You got items for what in America would be considered, extraordinarily discounted prices. Things in this country are very cheap, and admittedly, that is a nice thing to have. It is a cheap country to live in, but all of their jeans were more expensive than the jeans I used to buy in America, which was very particularly odd to me. I thought that was strange. I was like, what in the heck? Why do you all want so much money for jeans? Because I know in the US I can buy better jeans than this for lower pricing. But that's just what it is. I don't know. These people probably just, it's probably because a lot of clothes are cheap. A lot of these items are cheaply made in China, which is not very far away. So it's a lot cheaper for them to get things here than it is for us in America. So I imagine that's what makes it cheaper for them. That's probably just what makes it cheaper for them. Sorry, I can't think for a moment. It's cheaper for them, but the jeans are probably all made in the US, especially Redhead brand. I imagine those are probably made in America. So, they probably are very far from the manufacturing of jeans compared to America, which is, where they're probably made. First day of work was today. Very uneventful because they're in the middle of a kind of a workflow stop, or work stoppages, because there's nothing they can really do right now because all of the work they can be doing is on hold because they're waiting for, new items to come in the mail or for approval to come down from higher level NCOs, stuff like that. So we didn't do much. We did some in processing, just some things that are, just paperwork wise, really. That's all that really is. Been liking it out here in Korea. It's been a wonderful country. It's been a wonderful place. Uh, it's a very beautiful country. I'll give it that. The cities do look very unnatural, especially on their edges. But the country is very pretty, especially at night when all of the lights come on. The city lights are very pretty here in Korea. I've been liking it a lot. I've been in good health and I've been doing good. I sent you the new P.O. box I got. So, when you send something to me, as you can see with the yellow text, it's very important. You don't send it to. Is the phone focusing on that correct? It's not really focusing on it the way I want it to. Come on. Well, the text is all messed up though. Because it's not. Is it coming through? No, because it's all backwards. But. I have an idea. I can put the camera forward and then do this. There we go. That's a lot better. But as you can see, especially in the yellow, it's very important you don't send it to me, or you don't put Korea as part of the mailing address. That's mostly because, as it says, it'll get stuck in Korean customs. And if you only put what's on there, it'll go directly to the base and not through Korean customs. And if it goes through Korean customs, either it won't arrive to me or I'll have to go pay extra fines and fees on it. So the only thing I would say is just mail over the, mail me some redhead jeans if you get the chance. Call it my Christmas gift. I would say hold off on mailing me the computer for a bit because I'm just in the hotel, as you could probably tell. So they haven't given me my dorm room yet, and I don't want to set my computer up until I'm in my dorm room. But, well, technically, I remember you said it's very expensive. It was expensive for you to mail me stuff in Shepherd, so it'd probably be better if you just mailed me my computer, jeans, everything in one shot, if you will. So maybe I'd say just load it all into one big super package and mail it over. It would be expensive, but it probably would be cheaper than mailing me like 5 or 6 smaller packages. What else is there really to say? I got Angie's letter. Read that. That was very nice and inspiring. Hopefully baby Ruby's growing up real good. Hopefully she's doing well. Kylie, we talked on the phone a little bit about you getting your, not your license, but your, what's the word again? You're probably screaming it at the screen right now. Permit, your driver's permit. Very happy to hear that you got that. You can finally start driving. Hopefully you can be responsible for it. Hopefully you can not crash the car. Which I didn't do. Not that they know of. Not that they know of, Kylie. As long as they don't know that you crashed it, it's good. As long as they don't know. But, hopefully you can take good care of the Taurus and drive it good. Don't crash it. It's nice to be able to talk to you guys and call you when I can, but with starting work, it's probably not going to be as frequent as I would like. Caleb, we gotta talk for a little bit, but I love you, man. I hope I hope Kuva's doing well. Give him extra pets for me, will you? Oh, I want to ask, did you ever get my letters from Basic about the Springfield? Man, I miss that gun. I still think about it. I love that gun. That gun was so good. No, you should send me some pictures of the old Springfield. I miss it. That's one of those things that I wish I could have with me right now, but we're not allowed to have fucking guns in Korea, which seems a little counterproductive to me, but they want me to have an M4, not some random ass gun from home. But hey, once my contract's up, I can come home and get that baby shooter sometime. Because that is my rifle at the end of the day. Fuck you. It will always be my rifle. Nothing will ever change that fact. Mine now and mine forever. Let's see what else. Brooklyn. Haven't talked to you since I got to Korea. I thought about it like 5 times in a row and then I forgot about it. Keeps slipping my mind. I'm sorry, Brooklyn. Hopefully everything with you and Sal is going well. I know now we're going into the cold season, into autumn and into winter. So, your plants aren't going to be doing so good and your flowers aren't going to be there. But hopefully everything is, good with you, going swimmingly. We haven't talked in a while, so I don't know really what's up with you. I remember you said you were doing your senior year of college now. Hopefully you can get through that one in one piece. I don't really know how that works out, but I'm in the Air Force, not college, so I don't know what's going on with that life. And you're probably laughing at me through the screen right now while Sal starts giggling. Um, Papa, heard you were giving me some love and support. I hope you know I'm really grateful for the fact that I could stay with you for a little while before I came to the Air Force. And, I'm really glad to be out here in Korea doing what I do. There's not too much else to say. The picture of me writing "Me Largo" was pretty good. Tell Aunt Patty that I love her. And I know that one just got on Brooklyn and Dad's nerves collectively, but so whatever. Well, not Dad, Bert. Dad, as far as I'm aware, Dad doesn't really have any problems with Patty, but Bert definitely does. Although I probably shouldn't be saying random family dirty laundry in a video that is going to be posted publicly. But then again, this has been me dragging on for 36 minutes about nothing, just random crap. I guess I should end it now, shouldn't I? Bye guys, love you.